hello, hello. Good time zone, everyone. We are on time. And you may notice that I'm a little louder than usual. I decided to turn up the gain a little bit. Let me know if this is too loud or no. So today, the plan is to just go ahead and keep on trucking with the card adjustments. I have been working on this off stream, so I'll just quickly review what changed since then. If there's anyone here who doesn't know how this game works, well, the explanation is a little long. I want to have the rules done. Actually, you know what? Why don't we do that first? Why don't we edit the rulebook? That's probably a good thing to do. Because everything else we're doing is based off of these changes to the rules. So, yeah, let's do that. Open up Word. And turn on the radio here. You should be able to hear it now, unless it's too quiet. Just something to fill the void. You know what I mean? Keep that there. Okay. And I suppose I should change the name of the stream. Where can I do that? Can I do that from Chatterino? Change. Open up stream. Yeah, let's do that. So we are editing. How do I spell edit? Editing. Rulebook. Then reworking cards. Done. That is now accurate. I do need to close this though. Or I suppose I can just open the rules, huh? Uh-oh. Okay, hold on. File, close, file, open. There we go. So here we are. This is actually what the logo looks like. I don't think I've shown this logo off yet, but yeah, there's the logo. So, oh crap. I need to open up the other one. I'll open the notes on a separate page. So, first order of business is that we need to remove any references to defense, because we have removed the defense stat and coagulated that into the drive stat, and drive doubles as health. So that should be the same. That should be the same. None of this changes. Okay, card anatomy. Dang it. Okay, well, this is the first problem. Card anatomy uses these images to explain what all of them do. I'll need to make new images later. Change picture. I'll change this into something obviously something that needs to not be that. So, there we go. Classic. That I'll need to change the demonstration picture there. But school stays the same. Base attack stays the same. However, this will need to be adjusted. Remove defense. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so what does it say? Represents the artist's passion without any additions or subtractions. The value is a number. I'll drive. Without any additions or the value of this number after additions and or subtractions is just called drive. The more drive an artist has, the more works they can play, and the longer they can survive. Makes sense to me. Works don't change because of this. Just drive across the board. Okay, so Control F for defense. So this was here because health worked differently from defense, because defense would be restored at the end of the round, kind of like how it does in Magic, but health would health stays permanently down. It doesn't refresh or anything. So I noted that was different from base defense, but health and drive kind of work similarly now. So I don't need this little area here. Base attack stays the same. Defense. The name of this section changes as well, doesn't it? Should that change to drive? Drive as health, maybe? Maybe that makes more sense. Attacking, drive as health, health. This should make sense. Okay, so if an artist has no work to flip, then the artist attacks their target. The target is an artist. Deal damage by subtracting the victim's defense. If the target is an artist, deal damage by subtracting the victim's drive by the attacker's attack. The victim's drive is reduced to 0. The victim is retired and must be returned to the artist deck. All works attached to the artist are sent to the graveyard. Not sure why I put a semicolon there. Are sent to the graveyard, and a new artist must be chosen to replace the victim. Cannot do anything. At the beginning of the draw phase, all damage to artists is removed. That is no longer true. The victim's health by the attacker's attack. His health is 0. The victim is retired. Then the victim's that should say, and the player that retired the victim. Deal damage by subtracting the victim's health by the attacker's attack. If the victim's health is reduced to 0, the victim is retired, sent to the graveyard. And the player that retired the victim gains a point. And the victim's player must choose an ego from the ego deck from their ego deck to replace the victim immediately. Since the player's 3 points, they win. This actually does not apply anymore. Heal damage. Okay, are there any other references to defense? Actually, shouldn't this just be attacking? This should just be attacking. Attacking. What happened to the link? There we go. Attacking. We can only attack a 1 artist per round, but an artist may be attacked. Lore. I will be removing the lore section eventually, but I'll keep it there because, well, I guess I could copy paste it somewhere. I don't know. After each ego has attacked its target, prepare for the next round by resetting the orientation of all artists. On the board. I'll say that instead. Okay, so I need to change all of these to just attacking. Not sure why it does that. Deleting that D there. Oops. Attacking that D there, delinks it for some reason. Delete. Tab. Okay. Attacking. This is just attacking again. Much simpler. Now that drive and attack work the same. King attacking. Okay. Great. That is good. So now, let's see. I covered every instance of defense. I need to cover every instance of drive. Oh boy, there's a lot more of these. Base drive. Okay, drive cost. Represents the passion required to perform and create the work. Reduces the drive of the artist doing the work by the printed value. Okay. Okay, so here's the flip phase. Flipping is done from top to bottom. Just like in the play target phase. Well, that's not true either, but we'll get to that. That has changed. At the beginning of the flip phase, player 1 flips the work attached to the artist in their first zone. The drive cost of the work is immediately subtracted from the artist's drive. If there's not enough drive to pay the drive cost, or if the work is of the wrong school, then nothing happens. Not even an attack. The results detailed on the work take effect immediately afterwards. Are executed immediately afterwards. Player 2 repeats the process of flipping, paying for, playing, and I prefer the word executing here. Executing. Repeat until all four have completed the same process. Drive. Okay, so this should also say, I'm already here, so I'm gonna just go ahead and do this. If an artist is reduced to 0 drive, they are retired. C. For in this scenario, C. I mean, it's kind of silly because attacking is right there in the same chapter, but just to be thorough, link to okay. See attacking. Also, while I'm here, we need to mention how order staggering works. On the first round, flipping is done from top to bottom. Oh, wait. Okay. We'll take this one at a time. Any more references to drive that I need to look at? Drive. Deal damage by subtracting that by attacker's attack. Yes, okay. Then treat the copy as if it was a normal version. Pay the drive cost as normal. Yes. Yeah. Okay. All references to Drive should be covered. I need to change this picture. Wait, no I don't. What am I doing? That's completely fine. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that picture there. And egos didn't change either. Well, you know, just to be safe, I'm not actually sure which of these are going to be changed or not. So we'll make them all Bonga S. File Bonga S. Perfect. What was next? We're moving right along. Okay, so we need to figure out how to give the ruling of Has that always been split like that? That's kind of ugly. Wait. Yeah, it's supposed to be up there. What the heck? There we go. What is this song? It blows. What is this? This is Final Fantasy VII? Oops. I guess I am required to take that back. There we go. Okay. So the first time anything goes in order is the play target phase. On this phase, the chosen work. Players play works and choose targets from top to bottom. Okay. On the first round, players play works and choose targets from top to bottom. Player 1 may play a work in their first zone and choose a target. Then player 2 may choose. Continue like this until all artists have chosen a target. Every round. Each new, we need to say, like, every time there, for every new, like, so the first round, it goes from top to bottom, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the next round it goes 2, 3, 4, 1, and then 3, 4, 1, 2, so on. It cycles around, so that each artist gets to go first once every 4 rounds. How do I word that, though? On the second round, the first artist to go? The first artist to round. To act shifts down. The first artist to act will be the second artist from the top. The order that artists act that the order that artists may play works and choose targets shifts down by 1. Such that the order looks like this. Zone 1. Zone 2. Player 2. Zone 2. Player 1. Zone 1. The next round, the order shifts down by 1 again, then again on the 4th round. For every round beyond the 4th. Does that make sense? I think that makes sense. Bearing in mind that these are the zones I'm talking about. So round 1 goes player 1, zone 1, player 2, zone 1, player 1, zone 2, player 2, zone 2. Next round is 2-1, 1-2, 2-2, 1-1. Because it shifts down by 1. On the second round, okay, on the first round, players play works and choose targets from top to bottom. At the beginning of the play target phase, player 1 may play a work in their first zone and then choose a target for the artist in that zone. Then player 2 may do the same in their first zone. Continue like this until all artists have chosen a target. On the second round, the order that artists may play works and choose targets shifts down by 1, such that the order looks like this. Player 2, zone 1, player 1, zone 2, player 2, zone 2, player 1, zone 1. On the next round, the order shifts down by 1 again, and then again on the 4th round. This cycle repeats for every round beyond the 4th. And then again on the 4th round, such that gotten to every artist will have gotten a turn to go first. This cycle repeats for every round beyond the fourth. I think that makes sense. Oh boy. This has gotten messed up. Here we go. Problem solved. Okay. Flipping order is identical to the targeting order in the play target phase. Flipping order is identical to the playing order in the play target phase. I think that makes sense. Ego phase. Same order as the artist's flipping order. Artists attack in the same order as the artist's flipping order. Eco phase, fulfill conditions. Okay. So that covers that. I think that makes sense. Regen and regeneration. And drafts. Where do I put this? What would be a good place to put information about regen? I guess it'd be in attacking. Well, I'd have to be somewhere in the flip phase. Utilizing specialties. I'd have to go here. Or attacking. You know what? I'll put it below attacking because it's pretty connected to attacking. What? Regenerating. And some cards may have effects that give artists of regen if an artist has a number of regen points does not play or copy a work if an artist has a number of regen points, it does not play or copy a work on the... Oh, wait. If an artist has a number of regen points and does not execute any results on their turn of the flip phase, they regenerate. They gain drive equal to how many regen points they have. Okay. That pretty much is it, right? Some cards may have effects that give artists points of regen. If an artist has a number of regen points and does not execute any results on their turn of the flip phase, they regenerate. When an artist regenerates, they gain drive equal to however many regen points they have. Okay. Drafts. Where do I cover drafts? Play target phase. Maybe in the play target phase? I also need to add regenerating to the... Need to add it up here. Generating. Wrong way. Dang it. What am I doing? Regenerating. And I'm pretty sure it's on the same page as attacking. It is not. It is on page 13. Okay, so what I need to do is create a bookmark. How did I do this last time? I need to insert a bookmark. So I can have a link that references the bookmark. I'm pretty sure this is an insert. Add in links. Bookmark, there it is. This is a new bookmark. Regen. Add. Okay, so now I should be able to make this a link. To here. Boom. Isn't that nice? Isn't that nifty? Okay, so I need a place to talk about, or do I? Actually, you know what? That should go in the setup. Because that has to do with, like, cards in your deck. Let's set it aside. Note. If you well, the idea is that basically every deck is going to have a little bit of draft in it, right? So it's not, I mean, it's kind of an option. Note. Well, actually, I guess this note would go up here, right? The work named draft does not go into the work deck. Set any drafts you intend to use aside in their own pile. There we go. I don't need to explain the mechanic of how draft works, I think, in the rulebook, because it explains itself on the card. Okay, what else? What else do we need to put in the rules? Introduce egos with a passive ability. Still don't know if I want to do that or not. I really feel like maybe that's something we should save for later. Yeah, you know what? I do feel like we have a lot of design space here anyway with what we have. So I'm gonna go ahead and save that for later. And just so that I know to get rid of this later, I'm going to... Does Control S work? No, I don't know what that did. There should be a way to strike through. I guess there's no strike through shortcut. I could have sworn there was. It's kind of weird. Okay. The rulebook should be more or less ready now. There's a whole lot of reformatting that's going to have to happen. Yikes. Yeah, I'm not looking forward to that. But I mean, right now it's still legible. So, close this. And open the update document. Okay, so as you can see, I did a lot off stream. I saved some for today though. So I'll go over what I did. So, I guess just going from top to bottom, there is one artist that I plan to include that has the School of All, which means they can only play works that say all on it, which is pretty weak, to be honest, because that locks them out of a lot of stuff. But in the old version, I decided to balance that by allowing them to sort of grow in power the more schools they used. But since base defense is not a thing anymore, and just increasing your drive, like, I guess increasing base drive would still be useful, but it didn't seem very, I don't know, just didn't seem as interesting. So instead, I decided to rework the feeling of progression by allowing them to basically like grow the repertoire of which ones they can play, right? Their specialty allows them to play a work of any school the next round. So the more schools they play, the more schools they obtain, basically. It's like if they play a visual work, and as long as that visual work is attached to them, then they can play any work from the visual school. Actually, explaining the works first makes more sense. So, crafting I decided for craft. So before, I kind of didn't have a very clear direction for all the schools. They just sort of had a smattering of different things, right? The only school that was really themed around a certain mechanic was culinary, and they had healing, which, of course, if you were here last time, you know that healing in the old version of the game wasn't very strong. But now I've decided that I think each school should have something they're particularly good at or they're spec'd into. So I decided that craft should take advantage of the new draft mechanic. It seems to make the most sense to me anyway that the school based around like making things and building things would be good at making a lot of drafts. So I'll show you what I did here. And most of the you'll see that most of the drive costs remain the same. Custom suit used to reduce defense but increase drive. But now it makes the target take bonus damage. Actually, bonus damage is a little vague. Takes +1 extra damage from damage sources. That makes sense. Target takes +1 extra damage from damage sources and has +2 regen. I think since I want regen to be a major mechanic, every school should have at least a little bit of it. Even if it's only 1 or 2 per set. So custom suit is the regen card for craft. Forge. Retire up to 4 works attached to you. And draw 2 for every 2 works you retire. Seemed a little weak to me. Especially since this is the only... I think this is the only card draw work for craft at the moment. So I buffed it up. So that you draw 1 work for each work you've retired after the first one. So if you choose to retire 1, you're just retiring 1. And nothing else. But if you choose to retire 4, then you skip the first one. The other 3 count. So you draw 3 work. Or you draw 3 works. Right. I think this... I mean, Forge obviously pairs well with having drafts. Because you can just get rid of those and you don't really care about them. And you can draw... I mean, card draw is always nice as well. Sealed Jar. First of all, I changed his name to Column. Because... Sealed Jar is a little bit of a funny name. The original idea was that, like, you know, like pottery, right? Or I think I was thinking of like an urn, but I didn't want to say urn. So, like, I went with Sealed Jar. I don't know. It was kind of slapdash. So I changed it to Column instead to represent architecture. Or reduce its drive. It costs 2 drive. Deal 1 damage to the target. If the target is an artist, their player discards a card. This seemed, I mean... I'm not sure why I changed it. It just wasn't as interesting in an effect as Column is, the new version. You still deal 1 damage to the target. If the target is an artist, their player chooses a work in their hand, and they can't do anything with it. It's basically locked into their hand as long as column is in play. So you're not forcing them to discard a card, and they can potentially get it back. But column pairs well with having drafts because, or any permanent effect pairs well with having drafts, because you have to get through all the drafts first to get rid of column. So I think it ties in there thematically, and I think it's just a more interesting effect. Sharpness test became serrated blade, still costs 1. Used to deal 1 damage, and the next work deals 1 damage. This is actually the same. Serrated blade and sharpness test. Nothing changed. I just changed the wording. This is definitely the most drastic change. It's a completely different work now. Stained glass window used to cost 2. Target artist works must be revealed to you before they're played, and target artist has +1 attack. Right, so basically the idea is that for the target artist, you know exactly what they're going to play, but they're stronger now. So it's like a sort of, you know, a give and take. But I felt like that, effect was suited more towards a school like literature, which I'm thinking literature is going to be kind of like the control-y archetype. Like they're based on gathering intel, basically. I want them to interact a lot with the hand and stuff like that. So I think I'll save this effect for literature. And I need to make more room for craft works that do stuff with draft. Right, so stained glass window was kind of cut there. And replaced with prototype, costs 1. And you simply attach 2 drafts to the target artist. Pretty simple. I imagine this would be sort of like a staple card. That's the intention anyway. Wooden chest. Didn't change. Well, actually it got buffed. Right, so it used to cost 2, and you get to only retire 1 work attached to target artist. I buffed it so that you can retire up to 2 works attached to the target artist, and it gets to ignore draft. So if your target artist has drafts on them, wooden chest can ignore it. Okay, so finishing touches. 1, deal 1 damage to the target. If the work reduced this artist's drive to 0, target has -1 base defense or health from now on. There's no base defense anymore, and reducing base drive seemed kind of lame and not in theme. So instead, I changed it to deal 1 drive to target. And if this work reduced this artist's drive to 0, retire all the drafts attached to the target. So again, more you know, work attachment manipulation there. The idea is that, you know, you use this as your, it's more powerful as your like last work that you play, because in this version of the game, if you reduce your drive to 0, you die. Right, so it needs to be kind of a powerful effect. Although, now that I'm saying that out loud, maybe it's not a powerful enough effect to be worth it. Retiring all drafts. Well, if somebody's built up a lot of drafts, then it's not a bad option. Because rather than trying to get through all of them at once, you can use finishing touches as a last resort. And the artist whose specialty it is to use finishing touches benefits from it a lot. And it only costs 1, so I think it's okay. Again, this will have to, you know, there'll be some play testing to do. Ornate handgun. These are the new ones, by the way. These ones below wooden chest were not in the version that I play tested. These are still in the concept phase. Ornate handgun 3. From now on, target artists may target egos that are out of range when playing a work that targets egos. Basically, you give your artist a gun, and they can attack any ego they want, regardless of how far away they are. Which, of course, is pretty strong. It bypasses one whole strategic element of the game. So it costs 3. But I want to keep that same concept, but integrate it into the draft system. So instead, it says, during the play target phase, this artist may retire a draft attached to them. If they do, they may target an ego that is out of range that round. So that's with anything. Oh, right. So our ornate handgun originally only lets you use the extra range with works. But with the new ornate handgun, you can target far off egos with works or an attack. And it uses drafts kind of like ammo. That was kind of the idea, right? Like you load up on drafts and you use drafts as ammunition to target egos out of range. So it requires a resource now, but I think it's generally more useful. This one, Dreamcatcher, also got completely overhauled. Dreamcatcher used to have a variable drive cost. As soon as it was flipped, you got to choose its drive cost. You drew works equal to the drive cost that you chose, +1. Then you put the drawn works back to the top of your work deck, face down in any order. So I don't know what this effect is called. I think this effect has a nickname in Magic, where you like take cards from the top of your deck, look at them, and then put them back. So you can set up for what cards you want on what turn. But in this new system, where one, you can build up a lot of drive, and you can regenerate drive, I figured this might be a little too strong, since you could just like pour in like, and base drives are higher, right? So you could pour in like 7 drive into this card, and you know what your next 7 draws are. That seemed kind of strong, and again, this is probably a effect that should be saved for something like literature or literary. So I'd change it to blueprints. It costs 0. And when you play it, you reduce this artist's drive by up to 4, and attach a number of drives to this artist equal to the amount of drive lost. Right? So this allows you to gain a bunch of drafts at the same time. And it's variable how much you want, which is always a plus. It costs up to 4. It can cost 0 though if you want. You can choose to reduce your drive by 0 and attach 0 drafts. Not sure why you'd want to do that, but you can. As a power move, I guess. But I imagine this being another staple of craft. Finally, patchwork. 3. Whenever you flip a work that has choose one in its results, you may choose both options. It's pretty expensive for such a niche ability. And, I wanted more, I wanted to start replacing works so that they interact with drafts. And patchwork was on the chopping block here. Save that effect for something else. I'm thinking maybe like musical. I'm not sure what the other archetypes are going to be. I'm kind of solid on craft and culinary, being drafts and regen respectively, and literature being being either like intel or card draw. But the others I'm not sure. But I'll save this effect for something else. But now patchwork costs 1. It allows you to detach a draft from target artist and attach it to this artist. So you can transfer drafts across artists. I remember when this game was easy for me to understand. Well, seeing everything at once, it makes things, you know, a lot more complex. I don't think a lot of the basic, you know, most of the basic rules are the same. But there are a couple of extra layers. I think that this game probably is like, I'd say medium complexity in terms of card games. I certainly don't want it to be too complicated. I don't want it to be like high complexity, like you need a PhD in gaming to actually play around. But the nature of the game means that it has to be a little bit complex, I think. And there's not really any way around that. And I think I am willing to sacrifice some simplicity for more well-rounded gameplay. You know what I mean? Because I don't want one whole section of the game to not like be untouched, you know? I think ultimately the drive as health and the drafts are for the best. I hope that doesn't I hope it doesn't dissuade anybody from trying it if they find it too complex. Plus, it opens up a lot of design space, which I think it needed. So I spent a lot of time on that. I'll go over how some of these artists have changed. Now look at that game. Hurts my head just thinking about it. See, Magic the Gathering is a game that's been around since what? Like 1990. How long has Magic been around? Magic the Gathering release date. Magic the Gathering came out in 1993, which means it turns 25 today. Magic turns not today. Magic turns 25 this year. It's an old game. There are countless sets. Just a dizzying amount of cards, right? Because it's gone on so long, they've needed to add more and more mechanics on top of how, like, the base game to keep things interesting and fresh, right? I do not plan to support this game for 25 years. 28? 3. Oh, right. Yeah, you're right. I was thinking about the 3. Yeah, 28 years. Yeah, even worse. 28 years strong. No signs of stopping. So they've had to constantly, like, one-up the mechanics and add more complex features, right? And some of them stick around, some of them don't, which of course is for the best. You know, keep some mechanics to certain sets. But my current plan is to have a finite number of sets I make for this game. I'm thinking like 7, and only 3 of them will introduce a new mechanic, a new overarching mechanic. That's the plan. Maybe only 2, actually, now that I think about it. And the rest being there to, like, flesh out what's already there. That's the plan. And after that, the game will be done. Because I think there's only so much that you can do with this concept until you're kind of stretching a little bit, you know? So we'll be careful. If in testing this game it turns out that it's too complicated to figure out, then of course we'll go back to the drawing board and fix some things if we think that that's not the direction we want to go. I think this is just enough for now. I mean, mostly these mechanics exist because I wanted to have alternatives to sort of like defense, but in a more creative way. You know, works defend you by defending your works, or drafts defend your works, and regen keeps you alive. Right. So okay. What is this? Oh, Katamari. Okay. Okay, so Adrian O'Wright had wooden chest. 136. His thing was that his last 2 flipped works could be retired. And I figured since drafts are a thing that are heavy in this archetype, that's kind of pointless because drafts make everything immune anyway, like, in a sense. So this guy just benefits from retiring drafts, which wooden chest allows him to do. So when he retires a draft, he puts it on himself. So using wooden draft, he can retire 2 and then attach 2 to himself, which sort of still has the same vibe, right? Making his earlier ones immune. Gerald Bush is identical. Victoria Parks. +2 base attack and +2 defense as long as the sum of base drive values among all artists is at least 22. That changed because defense and because drive works differently now. So I decided she gets +2 as long as the sum of drive values among all other artists is at least 18. So the sort of lowest, normally the lowest drive they can have is was it 7? So if 3 artists have full, if the other 3 artists have full drive, then they're likely going to exceed 18. That's the kind of idea. So she gives regen. Custom suit gives regen. So her idea is keeping everybody up, making sure everybody stays above so that she gets buffed. Melvin Mondo used to be that they can sort of like regain all of their drive if it's at 0 on the next round. But since having 0 drive kills you now, I change it to where if his drive would be reduced to 0, instead he can sort of turn all of his drafts into drive, so that he doesn't die. Which combos, of course, with finishing touches, which retires all drafts attached to the target. And Lady H was completely reworked because she was based around stained glass window, which was also completely changed. So now it's Carmen H with prototype. And whenever they attach any number of drafts to anything, they add another 2 to that. So yeah. I think it's a pretty solid lineup. They all sort of interact with each other in various ways. Where's culinary? I did all the culinary ones as well. I'll try to speed this up so that we can actually get onto new stuff. So appetizer, target heals 1, 2 if it's flipped first. Most of these I just changed healing to regen. So yeah, that's exactly what I did for appetizer. Mix reverses attack and defense. I did the same thing here. Target's attack and drive or health are reversed. So it's compatible with egos. A lot more powerful in this version of the game, since drive values are a lot higher than they were before. Actually, I might make that into 3. Think about it. Why is that split like that? Okay. Chocolate drizzle basically paints a target. If that target is destroyed or retired, then whoever retired it gets +5 drive. Same thing, except I buffed it up to +6, since drive is generally higher across the board now. High heat deals 1 damage to target at the start of the flip phase, basically just like damage over time. That remained the same. Red wine heals 1 damage for every attack that was made. Has +1 regen. For every artist that attacked this round. Kind of just changed up the wording there a little bit. Perfect black coffee. Choose 1. Target heals 2 damage or deal 2 damage to target. Again, just change healing to... Well, actually, in this case, I changed it from giving regen to gaining drive, which has a slightly different advantage. Smorgasbord. It's the same. Basically, the gimmick is that it's a damage work that you can copy as many times as you want, as if it was a specialty. So you can just keep using... You deal 1 damage initially, and then each copy deals 1. So you could do 2 damage this round, and then 1, and then 1, and then 1. For 1. So, helps with building up copies as well. A little niche, but that's a use. Pure vanilla scoop. The concept here was that, like, it has a different effect depending on what school the target is. I changed all this to something a little more compact. If they are literature, musical, or culinary, they have +1 regen. If they're visual, performing, or martial, they gain +1 drive. And if they are a craft or all artist, you attach 1 draft to them. So I like this card because it kind of encapsulates every defensive option in the game. Gluten-free bread. It used to basically heal whoever had the lowest health. But now it has a completely different effect. For 1, it limits the target to only having 1 regen maximum. So or in other words, if they have multiple points of regen, you ignore all but 1. You can think of it like that. And upside down cake. Whenever target would take any amount of damage, they receive healing instead. Healing changed to drive in this case. A lot simpler this time, I think. And so I changed the culinary artists to reflect those changes. I swear we're almost done here. So Belhest has appetizer. He gains drive if his target is at least their base health or drive. So it incentivizes him healing. Which is what he used to do anyway. I just reworded everything. Chocolate drizzle. His old signature had nothing to do with his specialty. So I changed it to be more accurate. Chocolate drizzle is the one that paints the target. So whenever this artist attacks, they can choose not to regenerate to give themselves extra damage. The idea being that they can sacrifice not regenerating if they attack their painted target and actually destroy them. Reed Winchester, which I just noticed was spelt wrong. It's spelled with an H, but I think I'm actually gonna keep that way. I mean, it was not supposed to have an H. I didn't even notice, or maybe I did. I don't know. That's beside the point. It's the same, except instead of defense, it's drive. Wendelin uses gluten-free bread. they limit an artist to 1 regen. So if anything with exactly 1 regen regenerates, they get a buff to attack. And Cremet Raquette has red wine. And it's the same, just with drive. Whenever they would get like excess, because you can't regenerate above your base. So if they're at their base and they regen, like if they get 1 regen, then they can put that extra excess into an artist as drive, or to an ego as health. Okay. So that's everything that I did off stream. And it actually took me an hour and a half to explain all of that. Which doesn't leave me with much time. Actually, it leaves us with about 30 solid minutes to actually do new stuff. So I guess we'll get right into it. I know that was a lot. Probably, and again, it probably sounds more complicated than it is, just because I explained everything at the same time. But I will keep your words in mind, Cap. I don't want this game to end up too complicated. I don't want to drive people away or anything, you know. Drive. Oh, actually, you know what? Before I go, I should... I'm going to increase this guy's drive to 10, because mix costs 3 now. Okay. So, all works. These are a pretty important group because they can be used by anybody. They can be used by any artist. So they need to have general utility for everybody. And not be too strong as to overshadow the school-specific options. And of course, a lot of these happen to cond. A lot of these happen to interact with defense, which doesn't exist anymore. So, I guess, I mean, again, what are our defensive options? You either gain drive or you get regen. Right. Or we could have them take less damage from damage sources. That's also an option. How do we try that? Target takes -2 damage from damage sources. Right? Am I not spelling it right? Oh, sources. This round. So, actually, anything that doesn't deal 3 damage to you, like, you're immune to. That's actually kind of strong, isn't it? That's a lot stronger than what the original Confident Defense did. I guess the equivalent would be just giving you drive. I guess you couldn't call it Confident Defense anymore. We'll fuss about the names later, I think. So what does this do? Target has additional defense health equal to this artist's defense. Okay, that's definitely not going to fly. Doubling your drive, basically. That's way too strong. So this should be something else. Maybe this could be -2. Or this artist takes -2. -1. Wait, takes -1 damage from damage sources this round. Actually, why does it have to be... Oh, right. Okay. So defend. What if we had defend makes you take 1 less damage? But hasty defense, we change to like the same thing. Except you defend someone else. -1 damage from damage sources this round. Yeah, okay. Okay. I said we weren't gonna fuss with names. We'll not do that. Inspire. One. Okay, so now basically this becomes just a worse version of this. Which, I mean, one of these is gonna have to change. Have to answer that later. Confident defense. Maybe we can give this the defense treatment, right? Or the defend treatment, where one of them targets yourself and the other targets something else. It's +1 drive. Target gains +1 drive. We make this artist gains. Well, it had to be +2, or else it'll be completely pointless. feel like we'll be doing that a lot. Okay, now we come up to these. Like the big boy super spells. I don't even know if I want to keep these, honestly. Because they're just sort of very strong. They're very powerful. Like Magnum Opus, deal 3 damage to everything. There are a couple of methods that the players found during the playtests that could just make these just way too strong. So, I'm thinking we either increase the drive cost of these to like really high, or we just remove them altogether. I'm kind of leaning on just getting rid of them. Even though they are, you know, thematically interesting. Cause I mean, I want works to be more of a supportive thing rather than your win condition, right? So I'll just go ahead and do that. Actually, I'll just go ahead and make these slashes all the way down. Which means we'll need to come up with 3 new works to fill in. Moderate attack. I think these attack ones can stay the same. Basically an alternative if you wanted to attack, but with a work instead of with an attack. Now here's a thing. Primary attack. Now, normally there'd be no reason for you to use primary attack. Well, now there isn't really a reason for you to use primary attack, because attacking allows you to regenerate. So this is just attacking, but you remove your option to regenerate. So maybe this doesn't have a place here. I mean, it increases your work count, like how many works you have attached to you, but I don't know, kind of niche. Any suggestions for what this could be? Maybe we just change it into something else entirely? That could be an option. A valid option. Maybe, maybe if you gain drive from it, then that would mean Inspire is just worse. You know what? There are still there are still effects that can interact, that can benefit from your attack being a work instead of just an attack. I think I'll keep this. Procrastinate, do nothing. Here's another one that I'm not sure about. I kind of like having a card that just doesn't do anything at all. Because it's kind of funny. And it sort of entices you to think about how can I use this in a way that's like useful. But the problem is it needs to be useful for that to have a payoff, right? You can't just make something that's like maybe it's useful but then it isn't. Cause like what's the fun in that? And right now, I don't know if it's very useful. Because if you wanted to play a zero-cost work that just bolsters your count, you use primary attack. Because at least that allows you to attack, right? Unless you're in a very specific situation in which you don't want to do anything. Like, you don't want to play any of your works, and you don't want to attack anything, because maybe you're trying to set up an ego's health. We'll keep it. Strong attack can stay. Damage to target. Weak attack, I think, can stay. Criticize? Criticize can stay. Artist. Actually, you know what? I know what these can be. We need some works that you know, give drafts or give regen, right? So why don't we just make these three those? So attach 1 draft 2 artist, cost 1. Iterate. Working title. Just has this 1 regen. Just very simple versions of these effects. And I think it'd be interesting to have one that forces you to regenerate. Actually, you know what? Attach one draft to this artist. Target artist has +1 regen. This artist has +1 regen. Well, I guess that means we have to have one that attaches. Well, no, we don't. Target artist has +1 regen. This artist has +1 regen. Yeah, I think that'll work. I think I want one that forces you to regenerate. Like, target artist regenerates. I was thinking of doing that for procrastinate. Like, replace procrastinate with target artist regenerates. Maybe I'll replace one of these with that. We'll get there when we get there. Branch out. What is this song? I feel like it's been going on for ages. Oh. Gains +2 drive. This artist may play work from any school next round. So this is a pretty, this is another like pretty important staple card. Basically lets you, lets any artist play any work that they want. You'll notice that it costs 2, but it gives you back 2. I kind of wanted this to be a 0-cost card, but it seemed kind of expensive for that. Or it seemed kind of powerful for that. So instead, I kind of made it so that you have to have like, you have to have enough for the initial investment, but if you have enough for that, then it's effectively free. I think it's kind of a nice balance. Because I want this card to be used often. What is this one? Overshadow. Good. Artist has, I think this can stay the same as well. Or this is a basic, if I left it as it is, it'd basically be an attack. So target artist loses -1 base drive. You wouldn't say gains -1. Target artist loses -1 base drive. Or I guess you could say loses 1 base drive. Well then you could say this artist gains 2 drive instead. You know what? Actually, I don't even need the pluses, do I? Well, that one. Yeah, okay, I'll keep the pluses. Never mind. I talked myself out of that really fast, didn't I? Interpret. If your opponent played a work this round, you may look at a random work in their hand. That seems pretty specific for an all card, now that I look at that. So I think I'll make this. Target. Generates. And of course, interpret is not a good name for that. But I'll change that later. Actually, let me... Criticize. Weak attack, strong attack, procrastinate. Motivate, encourage, iterate, inspire. Change the name of that. Save here. Deeper meaning. What does it do right now? Target artist must play a work with a drive cost that equals the drive cost of their last played work next round if they can't deal 1 damage. Okay. I think that's a little complex for an all. I think most of these are a little complex. Except share knowledge. I think I'll keep share knowledge. But I think these two can be something a lot simpler. We can save these effects for something else. Here we go. Cover all of our bases. Subvert. Whenever this artist would take damage this round, half of that damage is dealt to target instead. This should be something else. What haven't we done yet? We have attaching drafts to you or others. We have giving regen to you or others. We have attacks. We have drive. We don't have anything that reduces attack, I guess. Maybe we could do that. It reduces attack or reduces. We have drive reduction. No, that's an attack. We have attacks, right? Which is also drive reduction. We have work retirement. Well, we don't have any attack reduction. So how about we do target artist has -1 attack. Boom. Easy peasy. Share knowledge. 3. From now on, whenever one of your artists is replaced, you may replace the new artist school with this artist school. I think I'll actually keep this one. Since we have much less, or much fewer complex all cards now, I feel pretty alright keeping this one. And it helps with more, cross-school interaction. From now on, or whenever you replace an artist, the new artist, or you may replace the new artist's school with this artist's school. It does the same thing, just some rewording. Make it a little more elegant. And, well, we still have a few minutes left, but I think that's a good place to stop. So, that's the stream for tonight. I know we actually didn't make much progress on stream today. I was explaining everything I did beforehand. Either for the future, I just don't do that, or I should just stick to doing everything else on stream. Well, this is kind of a project that I want to do off stream, so I guess if it's better for the stream, I just won't go over everything unless you want me to. I don't know. It just took a while. Well, to be fair, most of the time was me doing the rulebook, so I don't know. Just to be comprehensive, you know, because these streams I'm keeping halfway for archival purposes, because I want to have sort of a log going of what I'm working on. But I hope you derived some entertainment from it. I went a little bit quickly, so I apologize if I didn't let you guys get any word in. I'll be better about that next time. So yeah, that's the night. Thank y'all for being here. And again, I will keep in mind what Cap said here. I don't want it to be too complicated. I mean, of course, I want as many people to play it as possible. But it's a very delicate balancing act of you know, design and mechanical integrity and simplicity. So I think something we should focus on overall is keeping effects as simple as we can make them, not giving them too many moving parts. We don't want to end up like Yu-Gi-Oh, right? Now, Cap, you gave the example of Magic earlier, but I think what you were thinking of was Yu-Gi-Oh. Because Yu-Gi-Oh introduces a mechanic, and it's there forever. Unlike Magic, which keeps things, like, isolated to sets. Yu-Gi-Oh is monstrous. There's like 7 different ways to summon monsters. There's 12 zones that you have to keep track of. Yeah, that's some pretty wild stuff. If you want a card game that's kind of gone overboard with mechanics, I think Yu-Gi-Oh might be a case study for that. Anyway, I'll be back on stream for more of this on Friday. I hope that you guys enjoy the stream, and I hope you'll enjoy the next stream. But until then, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Good time zone to everybody. And I'll see y'all. Goodbye.